Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. Coming up here on the show, my first Philadelphia Eagles mock draft. A lot of other teams have seen mock drafts for their channels, but those teams didn't make a run all the way to the Super Bowl and then win it. And after the peak of free agency, I thought this is a great time as we look ahead to the NFL draft at the end of April to put together my first mock draft. I want to start here just taking a look at most of the Eagles' offseason needs here. Defensive end, you lose Josh Sweat. Defensive tackle, Milton Williams gets a bag from New England. Safety, you traded away C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Do you trust Sidney Brown to be in lockstep with Reed Blankenship? Cornerback, you lost two marquee players there in Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers. Can Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks step in with Adoree Jackson as a veteran depth pickup in free agency to fill the void there? Or could the Eagles kind of replenish that room a little bit? Tight end, looks as though the Eagles are going to move on from Dallas Goedert potentially. Might not be on this team in 2025. Greg Calcaterra is a good backup. Is he a starter, though? Offensive line, Howie Roseman always loves to build in the trenches. Running back, you brought in A.J. Dillon. You have Will Shipley. Do you want a young running back in a deep running back class to be a part of that room? And then the linebacker position. You lose Oren Burks. You're not sure when Nakobe Dean is going to be able to come back. You did draft Jeremiah Trotter Jr. last year, and I'm a believer in the player, but the Eagles could use some young players and depth there. We then flip the page to inform you, because that's what we do on this program, by taking a look at the Eagles 2025 NFL draft picks. Because the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they have the final pick in the first round, 32 overall. Back on the clock in the second round at 64. Third round pick at 96. Fourth round selection from Detroit, number 130. And then 4 fifth rounders, 161, 164, 165, and 168. You can get some quality players in that fifth round, and what you can never rule out, Howie Roseman making draft weekend trades. He tied a record by making 9 or 10 trades last year during the draft. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, by the way, for nonstop Eagles free agency and Eagles draft coverage. This is the standard for Eagles talk right here on YouTube, and we won't disappoint you with our coverage. So without further ado, drum roll, my mock draft gets underway, and I'm going to stay put here at 32 overall, and I know it's not a sexy pick, but I'm going with the best player available in this Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. And that's Gray Zabel, offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. Some of you might say, you can't take an offensive lineman from North Dakota State, given that's a weaker level of college football. But why this is the pick? Howie Roseman values the trenches. The Eagles have needs along the offensive line. They find value in developing young offensive linemen. Howie Roseman said at the NFL Combine a couple of weeks ago, I have a healthy obsession with trying to find offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Most importantly, though, I love the versatility of Zabel and how well he can play at any position along the offensive line. If you want to play him at guard, you can play him at guard. You want to play him at center, you can play him at center. Now that Fred Johnson left, you need a backup swing tackle. Gray Zabel can fill in there, and he can also be a player who can help you right away, and then you develop him in the future to perhaps take over for Lane Johnson at some point as the lane drain is signed through 2027. And Zabel last year, phenomenal player. He took all of his snaps at left tackle, 970 of them with the Bison, overall PFF grade of 90.4, pass blocking grade of 93.1, run blocking grade of 86.5, only gave up 1 sack with 7 penalties. He's a really good athlete, really good feet, and I think that Jeff Statland could really develop him. Again, it might not be the sexy pick, but what did we just watch in 2024, and what did we enjoy watching in 2024? The Philadelphia Eagles going out there, week in and week out, and kicking ass, belt to ass, with their great offensive line play that was dominant. This is how you continue that with Gray Zabel at 32. Eagles back on the board Round 2, pick 64. And we address pass rusher by going with Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. I know Philadelphia brought in Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche. Both of those players combined playing for less than $6 million in 2025. I love the value, but you still need to draft a young defensive end / defensive lineman in this class. And Josiah Stewart, I love the value here, considering what he did at Michigan, the athlete that he is, the quick get-off that he has, the opportunity for Clint Hurt to develop yet another young player. I know that Stewart played along a really good defensive line with Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, but on one-on-ones, I was impressed with the overall raw ability and the production. The Eagles just saw Brandon Graham retire, Josh Sweat left in free agency, and now the Eagles go back to another Michigan defensive end in a player in Stewart who last year had 13 TFLs, he's good against the run, 8.5 sacks, 37 pressures, and 2 forced fumbles in 11 games. You get that type of player in the back half of the second round, I'm all for it. And I like the consistency here, too. 8.5 sacks in 2024. 5.5 sacks in 2023 for a team that won the Natty. In 2022, Coastal Carolina, 3.5. But in 2021, 12.5 sacks with Coastal Carolina. With those pressure numbers also through the roof. From year 1 through year 4, 41, 40, 29, 37. That's the type of consistent production I really like. Round 3, pick number 96. I'm in the shoes of Howie Roseman here. We need to pick up a safety after the Eagles traded away Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Houston Texans. You don't have a lot of depth there. You're hoping that Sidney Brown can step in to play alongside Reed Blankenship. I think it could benefit Philadelphia to sign a Justin Simmons. I also think it would be beneficiary to draft a player with unreal athletic upside in Kevin Winston, who to some get some Derwin James types of comps with the athleticism and the physicality that he plays with. He did miss a lot of 2024 due to a partially torn ACL, but nowadays ACL recoveries are very quick, and it's just a minor step back for a major comeback. In 2023, Winston, length, athleticism, speed, plays really well downhill, very physical. He had 61 tackles, 3 TFLs, 6 pass breakups, a pick, and 2 forced fumbles. And his coverage numbers allowed a quarterback rating when targeted of 81.5. Penn State, you can say what you want about James Franklin. The game management sucks. His inability to win big games, it's very frustrating for a kid in me who grew up watching Joe Paterno football, right? But Penn State has done one of the best jobs among any program in the country of finding and developing college players to turn them into pros. And I think Kevin Winston, with quality coaching, can be in that next era of Penn State players to be impactful players at the NFL level. What is the Philadelphia Eagles' biggest need going into the NFL draft? Share your opinions with me. Show me you know ball down in the comment section right now. Chip and I know ball. That's why you've seen us rocking this Eagles Super Bowl 59 gear. I know a lot of you are right with us in lockstep there. Chatsports.com/EaglesSB. Use that link. It'll take you to Fanatics so that you too can get yourselves some Super Bowl 59 champions gear. Even if you've already gotten some, you can never get enough. I'm learning that right now because I'm about to put in a new order after I just put in another order recently. Chatsports.com/EaglesSB. Fanatics has everything that you need to get hooked up with some elite Eagles Super Bowl winning merchandise. Now we go to round 4. 134 overall. We continue to build in the trenches here. We went Gray Zabel offensive line round 1. Josiah Stewart, edge rusher round 2. We go to defensive tackle here in Rylie Mills. I think Moro Ojomo is going to be able to surprise a lot of people. I was a big fan of his coming out of Texas, and I think he's been able to develop during his early portion of his NFL career. But I think it's important for Philadelphia to bring in another young piece at defensive tackle looking ahead because Moro Ojomo could get paid in 2 offseasons. So I really like Rylie Mills, defensive tackle out of Notre Dame. In 2024, 37 tackles, 9 TFL, 7.5 sacks, 34 pressures. in Vic Fangio's defense. He did this with Milton Williams. He did this with Moro Ajomo. He's done it with Jalen Carter. Depending on what the front is and what the look is, sometimes he has those players play defensive tackle along the interior, or sometimes they play defensive end. Rylie Mills has positional versatility to play defensive tackle or defensive end in a 3-4. In 2024, we talked about the numbers, but how about 34 pressures? The year before that, 32 pressures as well with 2.5 sacks. In 2022, 3.5 sacks, 23 pressures. And in 2021, 3 sacks, 19 pressures. That's a lot of games played. That's a lot of experience. I think he'd be able to step in and he'd be able to give Philadelphia some snaps as a rookie and be a quality playmaker along that defensive interior. The Eagles did have a formal meeting with Thomas Fidone, the tight end out of Nebraska. All signs point to Dallas Goedert being gone in 2025. And so the Eagles have done a great job of drafting and developing homegrown tight ends. And so Fidone could be that guy. Played for Matt Rule at Nebraska. Matt Rule used to be the head coach at Temple University. That's when they were actually good. The program is in the tank since then, pretty much. Fidone, really good athlete. 9.37 relative athletic score grade. He weighed in at 243 pounds at 6'5", and he ran a 4.7 40-yard dash. That's pretty good. So he could be that Dallas Goedert replacement. So he's in the green with the 40-yard dash, in the green with the shuttle and the 3-cone, then the vertical and the broad. That shows me short area quickness and explosion. He can go up and get it with that size. He can pick up yards after the catch. I like him in a deep tight end class. And then the last 3 picks here. Denzel Burke, cornerback out of Ohio State, a wealth of experience at the college level, and I think people are sleeping on him as a day 3 player. Bjhayshul Tuten, very quick running back, has that 4.3, 4.4 speed, and then Seth McLaughlin. You pick up a center here with your final pick in the draft, round 5, 168, from another powerhouse program, and you can develop him as a backup to Cam Jurgens. It's a report card check-in. Grade my first mock draft. We'll do a few of these, obviously, in the lead up to the 2025 NFL Draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know.